Okay. Well, this is the camp coolers right now that we're going to talk about. So I'll talk about all the camp coolers, the vegetable coolers, and the lunch cooler. So the first thing we need to know about the camp coolers is a camp cooler is just like the dry boxes. It starts off with a camp's worth of food. For instance, right here, this is camps 1 through 3. And so for the first night, you probably have teriyaki chicken. It's already marinating in teriyaki sauce right here, right inside there. You probably have garlic bread that night. You know, there's a pound of butter right here. There's some milk for cereal, and there's some half and half for coffee. Frozen juices for lunch and dinner. Cream cheese for your bagels. And then it kind of works its way all the way down through the line right there. So the camp coolers are set up to be all self-contained as far as dairy, meat, everything all in one camp cooler. So for days 1 through 3, this is everything you're going to need for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. With the frozen drinks, we have 9 days worth of breakfast and lunch drinks. The lunch drinks are use them or lose them. What that means is that in the morning when you make up your orange juice, you put it into your got container, make it up. Everybody that drinks as much as they can drinks it. Then anything that's left over, you either have to put in a water bottle or something you can drag in the river, or you throw it away. It will ferment and go sour with you by the time that lunch comes, so you don't have enough ice to keep it cold for that long. Once this cooler here is completely packed, it will be solid ice on top. And so you have solid ice on the bottom, solid ice on top, and all the food in between. So that's how the camp coolers work. As with all the real large boxes that we provide for your canyon trip, they all stay in the rafts. So you need to sit there and leave them in the rafts. You will have to drain all your coolers every 2 days. And that means taking the spigot all the way off, letting the water all the way out, and then putting it all the way back on. Leaving the spigot cracked and letting water drip lets as much hot air in as it does water out. So don't do the lazy man's drain, because you end up melting all your ice. All right, this is your fruits and vegetable coolers. We call these our big coffin coolers. They keep fruits and vegetables for up to 15 days on the trip. These are also the real perishable fruits and vegetables that you have in here. You can see there's a lot of zucchinis and squashes and pears and kiwis and avocados and different kinds of fruits and stuff like that. Underneath this all, you're also going to start finding that you have some fruits and some things that are wrapped in paper towels. Okay, what we do with the paper towels is we wrap all the broadleaf plants, all your lettuces, all your spinaches, all your different kind of broadleaf plants. They sweat a lot inside these big coolers, and so the water builds up on the paper, and what happens is the paper gets saturated, and it keeps the like the cilantro here from getting real mushy and slimy like it gets in your crisper at home. So what you're going to need to do is take this paper off every time. About day 15, some of the iceberg lettuce kind of looks real brown and yucky on the outside, but just shuck the paper off, maybe the first layer of leaf, and guess what? It's ready to go. It's good to eat. So all the way up to day 15, you should have lettuce. Okay, once again, these large coolers never leave the boat, so you need to make sure you take a bale bucket down to the boat and you shop directly from the cooler. And like as with all the other coolers, the vegetable cooler needs to be drained every couple of days also. There's a solid block of ice on the bottom of this cooler that's about 8 inches thick. There's a plastic wafer in between the ice and the produce, and then there's the produce sitting down in there. As you have other produce, which we'll talk about your produce crates here in just a second, that looks like it's getting ripe, you can rotate some other produce into this cooler as room is afforded to it. So in addition to the produce cooler, we have produce crates. The produce crates are usually the more hardy vegetables and fruits, potatoes, onions, oranges, apples, melons, different kinds of things like that. You'll also notice that there's lots of tomatoes. The tomatoes are done in such a way that there's green ones on the bottom one, there's pink ones in the middle one, there's ripe on top. And what this does is it allows the tomatoes to ripen as you're going downriver. So you should have tomatoes throughout most of the trip. Some of this fruit and some of these tomatoes and stuff may ripen a little quicker than other times. So at these times you're going to need to rotate some of this into the produce cooler as they're starting to ripen. These particular crates right here usually end up into what we call bilge hatches on the boats, and these are these big aluminum decks that have bags on them that you just drop these in. When you get down to the ferry, your head rigger will help you put these away for you. Okay, the last cooler that we're going to talk about is your lunch cooler. Your lunch cooler is one that's self-contained. By self-contained, we mean it has everything for lunch in it. When you get ready to have lunch, you bring this up to the beach, grab your table, set everything up. You've got cutting boards that are inside the lunch cooler right here. These are for, chopping things on. We've got you a utensils bag here. It's all self-contained, and inside here is all your utensils for you to use for cutting up your fruits and vegetables and spreading peanut butter, jelly, mayonnaise, mustard, and things like that. This particular utensils bag lives in this cooler. You have a completely separate utensils bag for your dinner time, so you don't need to do this. This will need to be washed every night along with the cutting boards. You have extra Ziplocs. You'll notice that you have these big blocks of cheeses and stuff like that. These are all, can be opened up all at the same time. You have Ziplocs to put them back in. You've got frozen drinks for the first 9 days in your lunch cooler, and you can use those right there. You've got your bread wrapped up inside the big white bags. We talked about these white bags earlier. They come out of your camp box, and they usually have all kinds of things. They have cookies, dried drinks in them. They have tuna, mustard, mayonnaise, all that kinds of stuff lives right inside these big white bags here, and they come straight out of your camp boxes. You've also got quite a bit of peanut butter jelly, different kinds of mustards and stuff like that, avocados, tomatoes, red onions, lettuce, all that stuff goes in here, as well as your fruit. Now inside these white bags that we've talked about earlier, I keep coming back to these, is where most of your resupply of these big things of mustard and peanut butter and mayonnaise are. We use mayonnaise for one time, we throw it away, and you get a new one. Mustard, you have going on for 3 or 4 mustard. Same thing with peanut butter and jelly. So if you ever run out, just look in the next day's camp. It's probably waiting in there for you.